In a small village surrounded by green hills and quiet rivers, there lived a boy named Arjun. He was not like other boys his age. While most of his friends enjoyed playing cricket or flying kites, Arjun loved to explore. He would spend hours walking through the forests, looking at birds, listening to the wind, and asking questions no one else seemed to care about. Arjun's parents ran a small grocery shop in the village. They worked hard every day to make sure their son had everything he needed. But even with all their love and support, Arjun felt something was missing. He didn't know what it was, but deep inside him there was a fire, a need to see more, to learn more, and to understand the world beyond his village. One day, while helping his father at the shop, Arjun saw an old man sitting outside on a wooden bench. The man had a long white beard and wore simple clothes. His eyes looked tired but wise. Curious, Arjun went outside and sat next to him. "Why do you sit here every day?" Arjun asked. The old man smiled. "I come here because this is where stories begin." "What kind of stories?" Arjun asked, leaning closer. "Stories of people who dared to dream," the man replied. That answer stuck with Arjun for days. He couldn't stop thinking about it. What did it mean to dream? And why were some dreams worth telling? Later that week, Arjun found an old book in his school library. It was dusty and smelled like time itself. The title was The World Beyond. As he flipped through its pages, he saw pictures of big cities, tall buildings, strange animals, and people from faraway lands. That night he read until the candle burned out. He imagined himself standing in those places, meeting new people, and learning things no one in his village had ever heard of. The next morning he told his best friend Ravi about the book. "I want to leave this village," Arjun said. Ravi laughed. "You're joking, right?" "No, I'm serious," Arjun replied. "There's so much out there. I don't want to live my whole life here without seeing it." Ravi stopped laughing. He looked at Arjun and said, "Do you know how hard that will be?" "I don't care," Arjun said. "If it's hard, then I'll work harder." From that moment, Arjun began preparing for a journey he didn't yet fully understand. He started saving money by helping neighbors with small jobs. He read every book he could find. He asked questions, listened carefully, and never gave up trying to learn something new. His parents were worried at first. Leaving home was not easy. But when they saw how determined he was, they gave him their blessing. One morning, before the sun rose, Arjun packed a small bag with clothes, a notebook, and the old book that had changed everything. He hugged his parents tightly, thanked them for everything, and walked toward the edge of the village. As he reached the top of the hill that marked the end of his childhood home, he turned around, one last time. The village looked peaceful in the early light. He knew he might not return for a long time. But he also knew that staying would have been the biggest mistake of his life. With a deep breath and a heart full of hope, Arjun took his first step into the unknown. Arjun walked for hours. The sun climbed higher and the road stretched endlessly before him. He had never been this far from his village before. Every step felt strange yet exciting. The trees looked taller, the birds sang in different voices, and the wind carried smells he had never known. As the day wore on, Arjun reached a small town. It was bigger than his village, but not like the cities he had seen in the book. People moved quickly, shouting at each other, selling things from carts and tables. There were buses, bicycles, and even a few cars honking loudly. Arjun stood near a tea stall, watching everything with wide eyes. A man sitting nearby noticed him and smiled. "You look lost," the man said. "I'm not lost," Arjun replied. "I just don't know where I'm going." The man laughed. "That's the same thing." Arjun sat down beside him. "Do you live here?" "Yes," the man said. "My name is Ram. I drive a rickshaw." "Nice to meet you," Arjun said. "I'm Arjun. I came from a village." Ram nodded. "Where are you headed?" Arjun thought for a moment. "Somewhere big. Somewhere I can learn and grow." Ram looked at him carefully. "You want to go to the city?" Arjun's heart beat faster. "Is it far?" "A few hours by bus." Ram said. But you need money. Arjun opened his small bag and counted the coins he had saved. Not enough. Ram saw the worry on his face. If you help me today, I'll give you some extra cash. Arjun didn't hesitate. Yes, please. So for the rest of the day, Arjun helped Ram push the rickshaw uphill, carry heavy bags, and talk to customers. By evening, he had earned enough to buy a ticket to the city. The next morning, Arjun boarded the bus. His hands were shaking. As the vehicle rolled forward, he watched his small world disappear behind him. The city was huge. Buildings touched the sky. People filled the streets like ants. Lights blinked everywhere. The noise was loud, but somehow it made Arjun feel alive. He stepped off the bus and stood in the middle of the crowd. Where should he go? What should he do? A boy about his age approached him. You look new, the boy said. I am, Arjun admitted. Need help? The boy asked. Yes, Arjun said. My name is Jai, the boy said. I work at a food stall. If you're looking for a job, I can help. Arjun followed Jai through narrow alleys and busy roads until they reached a small kitchen behind a street food shop. The smell of spices filled the air. People shouted orders, and cooks moved fast, flipping breads and stirring pots. Jai spoke to the owner, who agreed to let Arjun work for a few days in exchange for food and a small bed in the back room. For weeks, Arjun worked hard. He woke up early, cleaned floors, chopped vegetables, and served food. His hands got burned, his feet hurt, and sometimes he felt like giving up. But every night, after work, he would sit under a streetlight and read the old book that had started his journey. One day, while cleaning the floor, Arjun heard two men talking. I'm looking for someone who can read and write well, one said. I need help organizing my records. I know someone, Jai said, pointing to Arjun. The man looked at Arjun. Can you read and write? Yes, Arjun said proudly. The man studied him for a moment. Come with me tomorrow. You might have a chance. That night, Arjun could barely sleep. This was his first real opportunity. The next morning, Arjun met the man again. His name was Mr. Sharma. He owned a small office that helped people find jobs. He gave Arjun a pile of papers and asked him to sort them. By the end of the day, Arjun had finished the task perfectly. Mr. Sharma smiled. You're smart. I'll pay you more if you come every day. From that day on, Arjun worked at the office. He learned how to type, file documents, and talk to clients. He also asked questions whenever he could. Slowly, he began to understand how the city worked, how businesses ran, how people lived, and what it took to succeed. One day, Mr. Sharma called him into his room. You've done well, he said. I think it's time you went to school. Arjun was surprised. School? Yes, Mr. Sharma said. There's a night school nearby. I'll help you get enrolled. Tears filled Arjun's eyes. School, something he had only dreamed of. That night, Arjun walked into a real classroom for the first time. He sat among students older and younger than him. Some laughed at his village accent, but he didn't care. He was learning. Every day he balanced work and study. He stayed up late reading books borrowed from the library. He wrote notes, practiced math, and tried to speak better English. Years passed. Arjun grew into a young man. He became fluent in English, understood computers, and knew how to run a business. Mr. Sharma offered him a position as an assistant manager. Arjun accepted. One afternoon, while walking through the market, he saw a familiar face. It was the old man from the bench outside his father's shop. Arjun rushed to him. Sir, do you remember me? The old man looked at him closely. Then he smiled. Yes, the boy who wanted to dream. Arjun sat beside him. I did it. I left the village. I came here. I worked hard. I studied. I learned. The old man nodded. And now? Arjun looked around the city. Now I want to help others like me. I want to build a school in my village so children there can study and chase their dreams too. The old man smiled again. Then your story has truly begun. Arjun stood on the rooftop of a small building in the city, looking out at the endless rows of lights below. He had come a long way from his village, and now he was no longer just a boy with dreams. He was a man with a mission. The old man's words stayed with him. Now I want to build a school in my village so children there can study and chase their dreams too. It wasn't just a thought anymore. It was a promise he made to himself. But how? He knew money would be needed. Land, teachers, books, supplies, all of it cost more than he could imagine. And even though he was working hard and earning better than before, saving enough for a school felt like trying to fill the ocean with a cup. Still, Arjun didn't give up. A new plan one evening. After finishing work at Mr. Sharma's office, Arjun sat down with Jai, his friend from the food stall. They were having tea near the street corner where they first met. I want to build a school, Arjun said suddenly. Jai almost dropped his glass. What? A school? Yes, Arjun replied. In my village? Jai looked confused. You're not rich, Arjun. You barely have enough to live here. I know, Arjun said calmly. But I also know that if we don't start, nothing will ever change. Jai studied his friend's face. There was something different about him now. Stronger, more sure of himself. What do you need? Jai asked. A plan, Arjun said, and help. So they began talking. They talked about what kind of school it should be, who would teach, how they would get permission from the government, and most importantly, how they would raise money. Arjun decided to write a letter to Mr. Sharma the next day. He told him everything, his dream, his struggles, and his desire to give back to his village. Mr. Sharma read the letter carefully, then smiled. You've grown up, Arjun, he said. I'll support you, but you must do most of the work. Arjun nodded. I understand. First steps, with Mr. Sharma's blessing, Arjun started working on his project. He called it Village Light School. He created a simple website, with help from a friend who knew computers, wrote about his dream and shared it online. He posted on social media, sent emails to people who supported education, and even reached out to local charities. Most responses were polite but not helpful. Some said it was a good idea but too risky. Others never replied at all. Still, Arjun kept going. He started giving talks at small community centers and youth groups. He spoke about his own life, how education changed him, and why every child deserved a chance. Slowly, people began to listen. A group of college students offered to volunteer. An old teacher from his village agreed to come and teach. A small NGO donated some books and chairs. It wasn't much, but it was a beginning. Back to the village months later, Arjun returned to his village. He hadn't been home in over 2 years. He stepped off the bus. Memories came rushing back. The hills still stood tall. The river still flowed quietly. The same dogs barked at strangers, but the faces around him had changed. Children had grown older. Elders had passed away. His parents welcomed him with tears in their eyes. His mother hugged him tightly. My son, she whispered. You look so strong now. His father looked proud. You did it, didn't you? Arjun smiled. Not yet, but I'm close. He walked through the village, showing everyone his plans for the school. At first, people were skeptical. A school? One man asked. Who will teach? I will. Find teachers, Arjun said. And who will pay for it? Another asked. We will make it happen, Arjun replied. Some laughed. Some shook their heads. But others, especially the young ones, listened with wide eyes. They saw hope in Arjun's words. Building the school. The first step was finding land. Arjun spoke to the village head, an old man named Panchayat Singh. He explained his dream again and showed him letters of support from the city. Panchayat Singh listened carefully. Then he said, "There is a piece of unused land behind the temple. If the villagers agree, you may use it." Arjun went door to door, speaking to families. He told them how education had changed his life. He promised that the school would be free for all children. Slowly, people began to believe. They gave tools, wood, bricks, and even labor. Men helped dig foundations. Women cooked for the workers. Children carried water. For weeks, the whole village became part of the project. Arjun worked alongside them. He lifted heavy stones, mixed cement, painted walls, and taught classes in the evenings. It was hard work, but he didn't care. Every brick laid brought him closer to his dream. The first day of school, on a bright morning, the school opened. Children gathered outside, dressed in their best clothes. Some wore shoes, others didn't. But all had excitement in their eyes. The school had only one room and a few benches, but it was real. Arjun stood in front of the class and said, "Welcome to Village Light School. Today your journey begins." The children clapped. Their parents watched from the doorway, smiling proudly. That day, Arjun taught basic reading and writing. He used chalk and slate boards, just like he had when he was a boy. Later, he invited guest speakers, doctors, engineers, farmers, to talk to the children about different jobs and lives. He wanted them to know the world was big, and they could be part of it. Challenges. Along the way, running a school was harder than Arjun imagined. Sometimes there wasn't enough money for books or pencils. Sometimes teachers left because the salary was low. Sometimes rains damaged the roof and repairs took time, but Arjun never stopped trying. When funds ran low, he traveled to nearby towns and held awareness programs. When books were missing, he collected donations from the city. When a teacher left, he trained someone new. People began calling him Master G, a sign of respect in Indian villages for someone who teaches. He never asked for praise. He only asked for progress. More than just a school over time, the school became more than just a place to learn. It became a center for the village. Women started coming to learn how to read and write. Farmers learned new ways to grow crops. Health workers gave talks on clean water and hygiene. Arjun also started a small library using old books donated by city friends. Children would borrow them and return with stories to share. The village slowly changed. More children went to school. Fewer girls dropped out. More parents believed in education. Even the skeptics began to change their minds. Recognition and support word of the school spread beyond the village. A local newspaper wrote a story about Arjun and his efforts. A TV channel came to film a documentary. Suddenly, people from other parts of the country started reaching out. NGOs offered help. Companies donated supplies. Students from universities volunteered to teach. One day, Arjun received a call from a well-known education foundation. They wanted to fund 3 more schools like his across rural India. Tears filled his eyes. This was bigger than he ever dreamed. The future ahead. Standing in front of his school one evening, Arjun looked at the children, playing outside. They ran, laughed, shouted, full of energy and hope. He thought of the boy he once was. Curious, restless, always asking questions. That boy had found answers not just for himself, but for many others. He turned to Jai, who had joined him in running the school. "We did it," Jai said. "No," Arjun said softly. "We're just getting started." He had plans for more schools, better facilities, and even scholarships for the brightest students. He wanted to create a future where no child was left behind, where every dream had a chance. The sun rose slowly over the hills, casting a golden glow across the village. Birds chirped in the trees, and the morning breeze carried the scent of fresh earth. In the heart of the village, Village Light School stood tall. No longer just one room, but now 2 small buildings with chalkboards, desks, and even a few computers donated by a city-based charity. Inside the classroom, Arjun stood at the front, watching as children read from their books. Their voices filled the air like music. He smiled to himself. This was the sound of hope. But Arjun knew his work was far from over. New dreams for new children. One day after class, a girl named Lada approached him shyly. "Master G," she said, holding a notebook close to her chest. "Can I learn to write stories?" Arjun looked at her and nodded. "Of course you can. I want to write about my life," Lada said. "About how hard it is for girls to go to school. About how my mother works all day and still makes sure I come here." Arjun felt a lump in his throat. "That's a beautiful idea," he said. "Why don't we start a writing club? You can share your story and others can share theirs too." Lada's eyes lit up. "Really?" "Yes," Arjun said. "We'll call it the Dream Writers Club." From that day on, more students joined. They wrote poems, short stories, and even plays. Some were funny, some were sad, but all of them came from the heart. Every week, Arjun helped them improve their writing. He taught them grammar, vocabulary, and how to express their feelings clearly. He also invited local writers to visit and guide them. Soon, the Dream Writers Club became known beyond the village. A small publishing house in the city heard about it and offered to print a book of the students' stories. When the first copies arrived, the whole school celebrated. The children held the books in their hands like treasures. Arjun looked at them and thought, this is what education should be. Not just learning facts, but discovering who you are. A step beyond the village, as the school grew, so did its reputation. More people from nearby villages began sending their children to study at Village Light School. One day, a group of parents came to Arjun with a request. "We've seen how much this school has changed our children," said one man. "But there are many other villages where kids have no chance to learn. Can you help us build another school?" Arjun was quiet for a moment. He had dreamed of doing this, but now the time had come to make it real. "Yes," he said finally. "Let's do it together." He called Jai and Mr. Sharma and shared the news. Mr. Sharma smiled. "You're ready?" Jai laughed. "So, now we're building schools?" Arjun nodded. "Yes, one step at a time." They formed a small team and started planning. The first new school would be built in Darnipur, a village only a few hours away. It was even smaller than Arjun's home village, and most children there had never stepped into a classroom. Arjun visited Darnipur and met the people. He listened to their problems and explained his vision. At first, they were doubtful, but when they saw the photos of Village Light School and heard the stories of the children who had learned to read and write, they believed. With support from the same NGO that had helped before, and donations from kind-hearted people online, the construction began. Once again, Arjun worked side by side with villagers, digging foundations, painting walls, and setting up desks. And when the doors opened for the first time, he watched as children rushed inside with wide eyes and big smiles. He knew then that this was only the beginning. The power of education. As more schools opened, Arjun realized something important. Education was not just about reading and writing. It was about giving people choices. In one village, a boy named Rohan used to spend his days helping his father sell vegetables. He was smart and curious, but his family couldn't afford to send him to school. Then came the new school. Rohan was among the first to join. Within months, he could read simple sentences and do basic math. One day he told Arjun, "I want to become a doctor." Arjun knelt beside him. "Then study hard, and never stop believing." Years later, Rohan returned to the village, not as a farmer's son, but as a young doctor working with a mobile health unit. He treated sick children, gave free checkups, and even set up a small clinic near the school. Arjun watched him with pride. This is why we teach, he thought, to give dreams a chance. Challenges that test the spirit. Not everything went smoothly. There were times when funding ran out. There were moments when people doubted if the schools could last. And once, during a heavy storm, the roof of one school collapsed. Arjun stood in the rain, looking at the damage. His heart sank. Jai came beside him. "What now?" Arjun took a deep breath. Now we rebuild. They called volunteers, collected materials, and within weeks, the school was fixed better than before. Another time, a government official questioned whether the schools followed proper rules. Arjun calmly showed him the records, the student progress reports, and the letters of support from parents. The official left impressed. Still, the biggest challenge came when Arjun was offered a job in the city, a high-paying position with a well-known company. It was tempting. The money would help the schools grow faster. The resources would be endless. But Arjun knew his place was with the children. He turned down the offer. Instead, he wrote an open letter explaining his choice. It spread online, and many people admired his decision. Some even sent donations just because of it. More than just schools, as the years passed, the impact of the schools grew. Women in the villages began joining adult literacy classes. Farmers learned new techniques through workshops held at the schools. Health workers gave talks on nutrition and hygiene. The schools became community centers, places where people gathered not just to learn, but to dream together. Arjun also started a scholarship program for the brightest students. Those who excelled could go to college or vocational training in the city. Some became teachers, some became engineers, some became artists. All of them remembered where they came from. The final chapter begins one evening. Arjun sat under a tree outside the original school. The stars were shining above and the moonlight danced on the river below. Jai joined him with 2 cups of tea. "You look tired," Jai said. Arjun smiled. "Just thinking." "About what?" "The future," Arjun replied. "There are still so many villages without schools, so many children waiting for a chance." Jai sipped his tea. "You know, we can't do it all alone." "I know," Arjun said. "But we can keep going. One school at a time, one child at a time." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the night sounds. Then Jai asked, "Do you ever miss the city?" Arjun shook his head. "No. My home is here now." Jai looked at him. "You've changed a lot of lives." Arjun looked back. "And they've changed mine." The sun rose over the hills, casting a warm glow on the village. The morning breeze carried the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. Birds chirped in the trees and children's laughter echoed through the air as they ran toward Village Light School, their backpacks bouncing behind them. Inside the school compound, Arjun stood by the gate, watching the students arrive. He had come a long way from the curious boy who once dreamed of seeing the world beyond his village. Now he was helping others chase their own dreams. But this morning felt different. Today, something special was happening. A new chapter begins. In the center of the schoolyard, a small stage had been set up. A banner read, "Graduation Day, First Batch of Village Light School." Arjun looked at the crowd gathered around. Parents, teachers, villagers, even visitors from nearby towns. His heart swelled with pride. At the front stood 10 students, boys and girls who had studied hard for years. They were about to become the first graduates of the school. One by one, their names were called. When Lada stepped forward, her notebook clutched tightly in her hands, she smiled at Arjun. She had grown into a confident young woman. Her stories had touched many hearts, and now she was ready for the next step. After receiving her certificate, she turned to the audience and said, "This school gave me a voice. It taught me that my words matter." Then Rohan, the boy who once sold vegetables, walked up proudly. He announced, "I'm going to medical school. I want to help children like me get healthy and strong." The crowd clapped loudly. As the ceremony ended, Arjun took the microphone. "These children," he said, looking at each graduate, "are proof that no dream is too big when you have the chance to learn." He paused, then added, "And today, we are not just celebrating their success. We are also announcing something new." The crowd grew silent. "We are starting a scholarship fund," Arjun continued. "Every year, we will support one student to go to college or vocational training, because education should never stop." Cheers filled the air. More than one school that night after the celebrations, Arjun sat with Jai under the stars. I still remember the day we talked about building a school, Jai said. Arjun smiled. You thought I was crazy? Jai laughed. Maybe I did, but look where we are now. They had built 4 schools across rural India. Each one followed the same idea. Simple, community-run, and free for all. Parents were more involved. Teachers were trained locally. Children stayed in school longer. The model was working. Mr. Sharma visited one of the new schools and wrote a report about it. That report reached the desk of a government official interested in rural education. Soon, Arjun was invited to speak at a national education conference. Standing on the big stage, surrounded by experts and leaders, he shared his story. I didn't come from money, he said. I didn't have fancy degrees, but I believed in the power of learning, and I believed in the people around me. His speech was met with a standing ovation. Later, a well-known foundation offered funding to expand the school network. Arjun accepted, but with one condition: local communities must be part of every decision. That's what makes this work, he told them. It's not just our schools, it's their schools. Challenges never stop. Despite the progress, challenges remained. Sometimes, funds came late. Sometimes teachers left because the pay was low. Sometimes rains damaged the buildings. But Arjun had learned how to face problems. When a school in Darnapur lost its roof during a storm, he organized a rebuilding campaign. Volunteers came from the city and the village. Within weeks, the school was stronger than before. When some parents wanted their daughters to drop out and help at home, Arjun started a program called Mothers Who Learn. He invited mothers to evening classes where they could learn reading, writing, and basic math. Soon, those mothers became the strongest supporters of education. They reminded their husbands and sons why school mattered. Even the old doubts began to fade. Dreams beyond education. Arjun knew that education alone wasn't enough. People needed jobs. They needed clean water. They needed health care. So he started thinking bigger. With help from local leaders and volunteers, he launched a new initiative, Village Light Foundation. Its goal was simple: build better lives through education, health, and opportunity. One of the first projects was a mobile clinic that traveled between villages. It provided basic medical checkups, vaccinations, and health education. Another project was a water well built near one of the schools. Clean water meant fewer diseases and healthier children. There was also a vocational training center where young adults could learn skills like tailoring, carpentry, and computer basics. Arjun believed that if people could earn a living close to home, they wouldn't have to leave their families behind to find work in the city. Slowly, change was happening. The power of stories? One afternoon, Lata came to Arjun with a question. Master G, she said, can I write a book? Arjun looked surprised. Of course you can, you already do. She shook her head. No, I mean, a real book. For everyone to read. Arjun smiled. Then let's make it happen. Together they collected stories from students across all the schools. Poems, essays, drawings. Everything that showed their lives, struggles, and hopes. They sent the collection to a publishing house. Months later, the book arrived, titled Voices from the Village. It was filled with stories written by children who had once never held a pencil. The book became a bestseller. It was translated into multiple languages. It was used in schools across the country. And most importantly, it inspired others. Students in cities read the stories and realized that education was not just about exams. It was about life. Some even started visiting the schools, volunteering and sharing their own knowledge. Arjun saw it all and felt proud. A visit from the past one day, an old man arrived at the school. It was the same wise man Arjun had met outside his father's shop. Years ago, Arjun rushed to greet him. You came back, he said. The old man smiled. I wanted to see how your dream was growing. Arjun led him through the school, showing him the classrooms, the library, the playground. As they walked, the old man asked, Do you remember what I told you? Yes, Arjun said. You said, this is where stories begin. The old man nodded. And yours has only just begun. Arjun looked around at the children laughing, the teachers teaching, the parents smiling. He thought of his journey, from a curious boy asking questions to a man helping others find answers. He realized something. He was no longer just chasing his own dream. He was helping others chase theirs. Looking ahead, that night Arjun sat with Jai again. The future feels big, Jai said. It always does, Arjun replied. What's next? Arjun looked at the stars above. More schools, more clinics, more chances for people to live better lives. Jai grinned. Sounds like a lot of work. Arjun laughed. Yes, but worth every moment. They sipped their tea in silence, listening to the quiet hum of the village. Somewhere nearby, a child was reading a book under a streetlight, and in that light, hope burned bright.